This week's question for my teachers is, who is or was your biggest musical influence?
My biggest musical influence has to be Lang Lang, the Chinese pianist. Back when I was a teenager, I felt a little bit awkward about playing the piano. No one else was doing that at my school. And then I happened to stumble upon his biography, and I was blown away. I couldn't believe how much piano dominated Lang Lang's life, even when he was younger than I had been. So that really inspired me. And then I got listening to him, and he did some fantastic concerts, really cool concerts. And there were some videos out at the time. I remember this one where he shows you how to play really, really fast etude with an orange under your hand. Stuff like that. It was just wonderful to see a really good classical pianist making classical music cool again. And then I thought, well, I want to be like that. I want to inspire lots of people to love music, especially classical piano. So that's who has been my biggest influence, I reckon.
I've had many musical influences as a learner, listener, performer, and as a teacher. And I would say these have changed over the years. But probably my most recent biggest influence, I would say, is jazz pianist Bill Evans. It's his harmony, voicings, and use of melodic improvisations that really drew me into studying and playing jazz.
I'm going to nominate a duo called the Cambridge Buskers. If anybody remembers them, they were buskers, obviously, but what they did, they took mainly popular classical music, some light music as well, and they performed it in a very unusual way. One of them played the accordion, and the other one played a variety of instruments, from the flute to the ocarina to the swanee whistle to playing with two recorders in his mouth at the same time. And they were brilliant musicians, but they just brought such a humour and a joy to what they played and to what they performed. And that really influenced me so much as a child, because it just made me realise that classical music, any music, didn't need to be intensely serious. It could be brilliant, but it could also have humour to it, and be a joyful thing. And if I want to do anything in my teaching, in my playing, is I want to put across that joy and that humour that we can all derive from music. Now, where did I put that swanee whistle?
Hello, for anyone that hasn't met me yet, I'm Jasmine, and fun fact, I used to play the violin, so one of my biggest musical influences was my old violin teacher, Sheila. We used to play loads of music together. We used to play duets, play an orchestra. She used to take me to concerts, go and see music, and I learnt so much from her about music in general, not just the violin, not just the piano, but just everything. And she sort of taught me how to enjoy music, love listening to music, and yeah, just all round great person. So my biggest musical influence, I think, probably was my old violin teacher.
The biggest music influence for me and role model will forever be my grandmother. Why my grandmother? She was a violin teacher and music teacher, and growing up around her meant that I was listening a lot of music in the house, from any genres really, but I was also seeing students coming for lessons with her. She also guided my first steps in learning music and piano when I was young, when I was about 6. She was staying with me when I was practicing, correcting every single detail, and being incredibly patient with me. So I'll always be grateful for her support and how much she inspired me to always work hard, but also enjoying every single note I'm playing and enjoying the sound and the colors that the piano can make. So my biggest music influence will forever be my grandmother.
You see, I set these questions and then I've got to answer them myself, and it's not easy to answer because there are so many influences. But actually a really big influence wasn't a piano teacher or a cello teacher, because I also play the cello, or used to, but possibly my A-level music teacher. She was very clever, a great teacher, really got you to think about different styles of music. She introduced us to so many different types of music. I loved my A-level music history lessons in particular. She pushed me. She would when she realised that I found the oral classes quite easy, she would do things like sit me in the corner with a CD of string quartets and say, dictate that. I loved it. I thought it was great. I remember we did an A-level music lesson on Liszt and virtuosity, and she thought it was a great wheeze to say, let's get the students to say what are virtuosic passages from the Liszt B minor sonata, and get Joanna to try to sight read them. Which of course I absolutely loved, but I think she made her point. So she was brilliant, and not only that, but she was an amazing choral conductor. And we, in an area of East Lancashire, high deprivation, we were doing Britten choral works, Fauré Requiem, Mozart Requiem, Britain's Ceremony of Carols, just so many things that just were such beautiful, rich musical experiences that I have never forgotten and absolutely adored. So Alison Birkinshaw, Dr. Alison Birkinshaw, big thanks to her.